What's up guys, Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids, and today we're going to be talking about a bunch of tactical items from Schrade. Now as we start off here, let me just say, when it comes to tactical items like the items you see displayed before you, that word tactical is thrown around a ton. Anybody who's using that name in any of the work they're doing, or if you're just kind of interested in tactical things, you know everybody's tactical this and tactical that. So, you know, our channel, Everyday Tactical Vids, is taking that idea of being tactical, which means to gain an advantage. And how do you gain an advantage in everyday life? So we're not talking about how do you storm a building and be an effective SWAT team member. We just don't operate at that level. It's more for the average everyday guy who wants to be a little bit more prepared for what life is going to throw at them. That being said, for a lot of folks, or another definition I should say of tactical, has to do with items that are going to help people in law enforcement, military, etc., etc. I'm pretty selective with what I'm going to promote when it comes to being a tactical item, just because you know, there's items that are called tactical and they're just garbage, and I would never promote it to be used by military and law enforcement. What I can tell you about these items in front of me is that these are items that Schrade has made, and they are definitely geared toward people in the law enforcement or military world, but they're also certainly usable for the average everyday guy, depending on if the situation fits some of the different uses. So now I am not going to say I've tested all these items out and these are going to be great if you're in law enforcement and military. I don't have the level of expertise to test them out and to say, because I have all that experience, they're definitely going to be usable in those types of fields. What I can tell you is that they're geared toward those types of fields, and also having checked these out a bit, they do seem like they are there's going to be parts of them, or some of the uses that they're created for, they're going to be quite usable by people in law enforcement and military, from what I can tell as a person who's been testing and checking out a lot of different gear. So what we're looking at here is the SCHF30. This is the 40L. This is the 40. And then here's a case for one of their batons, and then this is the case for the SCHF40. So these are all kind of tactical items. I wanted to do an overview of all of them, and we'll look at each one individually and talk about some of the different uses for these different items. Alright, so first up we're going to be talking about the Schrade SCHF40L and the 40. Essentially the L is the long version and the 40 is the kind of standard sized version, if you will. When it comes to the SCHF40L, your blade length is 7.86 inches and your overall length is 13.76 inches. The Schrade SCHF40 has a 5.1 inch blade length, and then your overall length is going to be 11 inches. So when you first look at this, you may have a similar feeling to what I had, which is that there's a look in these ones that are similar to the Gerber LMF, and a little bit like the Prodigy as well from Gerber. If you like that style knife, you may really like these ones as well. So you do have a TPE overmold on the handle. It kind of feels like a rubberized texture on the handle, and I will tell you that there's a decent sized swell in both the large and in the regular size. So for me, holding this, very, very comfortable. And when I first looked at the texture, I was kind of like, you know, it's made to look kind of like a rock or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's interesting and maybe looks cool, but is it actually functional? It's quite comfortable. I was impressed with that. So, you know, just holding it like this, you could certainly choke up like this. You know, there's all different types of grips and the ways you can hold it. And I found it to be it's quite comfortable to hold. You do have this exposed pommel here on the end, and that's quite aggressive. It's interesting because you got the TPE overmold, and then you can't really tell, well, what part is the overmold, what part is the metal. But you've got a full tang that runs all the way through, and just have this mold over the entire top. But that's going to be quite aggressive here at the end of the handle there. Your steel on both the knives is a 420 J2 stainless steel. It does also come with this nice sheath, and let me show you this. This clicks into place quite nicely. You got the snap here, so you got a snap included. Get that out of the way. Slide this in, and then it will click into place, and then you can put the snap back over the top, like so. So that's what it's going to actually look like when it's in the sheath. This is kind of a thermoplastic overmold, or not kind of, it is a thermoplastic overmold mold. You can see you've got slots here, slots there, slots there. You can take that off. You do have the nylon webbing on the back. This can be attached to MOLLE. It can run through a belt loop, attached to a pack. Lots of different options when it comes to how this one's set up. And the SCHF40L is basically the same thing, just a longer version. This is definitely what I would call a chopper. So if you want to use this as a survival knife or an outdoor knife, it could certainly be used in that setting, and it does have the length that you can use it to do some pretty aggressive chopping. They do both come with serrations, so you can see what that looks like there. And again, similar to the the Gerber LMF that you have serrations on the knives. It's kind of a standard thing for the LMF. But that's what that looks like. You can see the sheath, see the setup. So 40L and the 40, two tactical knives coming to us from Schrade. Next up here we have the SCHF30 from Schrade. This is a little bit smaller, very tactical looking knife though. Your overall length end to end, 9.875 inches. Blade length is 5 inches. Your blade material is stainless steel. It is a clip point. You can see that it is got this kind of black powder coat finish. Your handle material is rubber. Sometimes it looks like it's the TPE overmold that they use in some other ones, but this actually is rubber. It does come with this thermoplastic. Let me get a better shot of that for you here. Move this up a little bit and then move this up. Get this thermoplastic sheath. It does click very securely into the sheath. I'll show you that in 1 second. Why is this a tactical knife? Well, some people list it as an everyday carry knife. I cannot imagine this being an everyday carry knife, but depending on, I guess, where you live or what you're doing, maybe it is for you. I found this one to be extremely comfortable to hold as well. The blade length to handle length for some people, because the blade is bigger than the handle length, for some people that's just going to be a little bit, for a knife this overall size, it's going to be a little bit strange for them. Let me zoom out to show you what that looks like a little bit more fully. So here's what it looks like in hand, and you can see, I mean, for me, I've got probably large sized hands, and it does fit pretty comfortably in the hand. The actual material of the handle I do find to be very comfortable. It's a little bit small for me, so maybe if you have large or extra large hands, this is going to be a little bit too small for you. I do like how sleek and slick it is. Compare it to, while the SCHF40L is just ginormous in general. You know, the width of your blade, the length of your blade, the size of your handle, this is just really big. And even if you had just the normal 40, you know, cuts the blade back down to about here, you can still see this is, the 40 is just much bigger than the 30. So if you want something a little bit more sleek and slick when you're looking for a low-cost tactical knife, this could be an option that you want to check out. Again, price point for this one is going to be around $25, give or take, for the Schrade SCHF30. Let me show you real quick. Here's your sheath, and it clicks in very securely, and I don't hear any. There's no movement basically whatsoever. And then you get this loop here that you're going to run your belt through if you want to have that to be carried on your belt. Not a whole lot of options as far as compared to the 40, but you certainly could run paracord. You could run some webbing through there if you want to attach it to a pack or to some sort of gear that you're running. Another tactically inclined knife, I would say, from Schrade, the Schrade SCHF30. Okay, the last thing I want to show to you here is one of Schrade's Batons. This is the SCBAT 16H. Now, for pretty much all their batons, what you have are different sizes, 16 up to 26 inches, and then they have the heat-treated versus the non-heat-treated version. This one is the heat-treated version. It's going to run you $47.50 off Schrade's website, certainly less if you get it from your favorite knife retailer. It's a collapsible baton. It's 4130 seamless alloy steel tubing with a Rockwell hardness rating of 46 to 47. It's like your average baton. You've probably seen police carry them before. The reason I like this is because it's a cool item that you can get in different sizes, and they offer you a couple different options. So you got different size handles, and then you also have different size or different ends that you can attach. You can see here, let me get an angle. This one has a little bit of a point. The bigger the baton is, the bigger the base is that you can attach on. This is not the standard base. It just comes with a round base normally, but you can buy a glass breaker as a base that you can attach onto the baton. I will tell you that, you know, I first got this, and I basically, you have to, you know, you basically swing it like this and it will extend itself. You really got to whip the baton to get it to fully extend. And then I thought, well, I'll just turn it and kind of pound it on the floor a little bit. But you really got to put some English on it if you want to get the thing to collapse back inside, which is good, because if it was easy to open and close, then it could be not functioning the way you actually want it to. Now, for me, when I think about the average person who might want to use a baton, certainly having this in your car, if you needed to, you know, say someone was stuck in a situation where they couldn't get out of their car, you could use this to break open a window quite easily. You could, even if you don't have the glass breaker end, you could certainly, you know, hit the window hard enough to break in. The other thing I think about is self-protection against like a dog. Even if you're, you know, walking through a neighborhood and some dog comes out and is just coming at you, well, now you've got this to actually protect yourself from the animal. I want to be clear, a baton, even though it's not a firearm, can absolutely be a lethal option. So don't just think, well, it's a baton, I'm not going to hurt somebody. You could really injure yourself or somebody else using the baton. So you want to be very careful and know what you're doing if you get a hold of one of these. Your sheath, basically you've got a long clip here so you can attach it to a pack or tamale gear, and then also you've got you can just run a basically a belt through one of these loops. You can unclip the clip, make it looser, and then run it through a belt, carry it. You can certainly just collapse this and then put it in here and then put it in a pack, whatever, however you want to carry it. There's lots of different options. But again, another kind of tactically inclined item from Schrade. Their batons from 16 inches all the way up to 26 inches. So there you have it, some tactically inclined items from Schrade. We have items in the Schrade SCHF40 family, then we have the 30, and then one of their batons here. Let's hear what you think about these. I mean, if you're in law enforcement or military in particular, have you ever used any items from Schrade in tactical situations or applications? What do you think about them? Again, being someone who is not in full-time law enforcement or military, I'm always interested to hear from the experts out there what they actually think about different items that are for use. Certainly Schrade has built these geared towards folks in the tactical community, but let's hear from folks who've actually had experience use it. That'd be great to see in the comments down below, or certainly you can email me everydaytacticalvids@gmail.com. If you own any of these items, I'd also like to hear from your experience what you think about them. A lot of people talk about the 40 and the 40L as survival knives or camping or outdoor knives. They could absolutely be used in those types of scenarios, so let's hear about that as well. Thanks as always for checking out the videos here on YouTube. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram and Tumblr as well. Take care.